So as far as any weight loss pills, when I was a kid, I took Dextrotrim because that was the thing to do when I was in high school. And this is 80s, beginning of the 80s. I did try ephedra just because being in the fitness industry, I thought, well, let me see what it does for me so I can maybe help or share with other people. And it just increased my heart rate to where it freaked me out. So I only tried it once. The other thing on all of these medicines is they're only a quick fix, and that also includes the bariatric surgeries. In the event that this is a life-saving need, that's one thing, but so many people use this for weight loss, and this also includes many diets or meal plans. If you go so restrictive on your calories, you mess up your metabolism, you mess up your hormones, you mess up the way God designed your body, and then when you feed it again, it just balloons. And after 30 years in the fitness industry, I've watched this over and over and over again, and it is very hard to keep saying, you got to find what works for you. And that's a hard sell. But there's also the emotional side. There's so much to, are you actually getting enough restful sleep? Are there issues in your life you need to deal with? And that's a side nobody wants to usually venture into. Most want to pop a pill, take a drink your protein coffee, and then reap the, I would say, benefits of the weight loss. But weight loss has never been the goal. It never should be the goal because you're forcing yourself to a number on a scale or a size of clothes. The goal should be a healthy lifestyle and changing one habit at a time. To understand this, and that might be hard, but to understand it is your brain takes in all kinds of information that's called proprioception. It takes in what is the temperature of the room when you're walking. Is the floors flat? Are you in the grass? What do you see? Do you see food? What do you smell? Do you smell food? What do you hear? And your body takes, or your brain takes all this information in, and then it sends out messages to your muscles to move or for you to make a decision. The hard part is you really have to work on changing the brain. Medicine can curb your sugar cravings, but if you stop taking that medicine, they're going to come back, and they might come back even stronger. The other thing is if you change too much at one time, you freak your brain out, and then your brain goes into the fight or flight. You may not feel it, but your brain cannot handle all that change. When I went to a equine therapy healing intensive, we were talking about change, and when you experience more than 10% change, you uptick your nervous system. So what it means, you upregulate it. Now there's where the anxiety comes from. And you may not necessarily, if you're not aware of your body, you may not feel it and be aware that your nervous system is now going like a hamster on a treadmill. So being careful to change one thing at a time. It might be that you can I always start with drinking water and walking. Drink some water, make sure you're drinking maybe enough water, just be careful, take in more water. And then also, if you want to start moving, just walk. Your body uses over more muscles walking than it does when you're running. So don't start hardcore, just walk. Get to walking 30 minutes a day and then venture in. You can do some strength in that, but that's a really good start. And then as far as the changing, I remember when the fad was to empty your pantry and empty your fridge of all the bad food and put new food in there. Well, that's psychologically really traumatic because you go to your cupboard and you don't see what you normally see, and that does change your brain's composition. Your snacks aren't there, your normal foods aren't there, and you really did upregulate your nervous system. So making changes one at a time. So here's one story. This is one thing I did. I do not eat oatmeal because I don't believe it's for us. However, if you eat oatmeal, that's fine. But when my trainer that I got before I retired from the Air Force, he said, you need to eat oatmeal. I'm like, well, I can't. The texture, I can't stand the texture. I've never eaten oatmeal. So I tried. And so what it was is I started with Quaker oats, apple cinnamon. And then I moved to a brand called Revolution because supposedly the steel cut oats were the best for you. So I moved to that and it was less sweet. And then from there, I moved to the Kashi brand. And at that time, Kashi was not owned by Kellogg's and it was better. So I slowly walked my oatmeal from a sweeter type to a less sweet to an even less sweet. And then when I ate the Quaker Oats, it was too sweet. I couldn't eat it anymore. So that's just one example of how to slowly change what you're eating, and eventually you won't eat what you ate before, but it takes more than 30 days. It takes 3 to 6 months. Another example is I do not patronize Starbucks, but way back when I did go, I would get a tall cafe mocha. And they put 3 pumps of syrup in there. So I would ask for 2. And then after I got used to 2, I asked for 1. Now it's probably been 6 or more years since I've even gone through a Starbucks drive-through. I make my own coffee at home because it costs $1 and it tastes a lot better. But the whole thing on the medicines and the surgeries, they're always quick fixes. And I can tell you, it still kills me. I don't talk much. I'm starting to share a bit more because it is so ridiculous. And yes, this is my opinion. It is so ridiculous that we go through this over and over again. In 2022, the weight loss industry, the diet industry, took in $37 billion. And we are no healthier. So these are not fixes. Restrictive diets aren't fixes. Keto is, if you do true keto, it's dangerous unless you are supervised by a doctor. And most people talk about keto, but I have actually had like 3 people say, when we've had discussions, I tell them it's a dangerous diet and you shouldn't do it and it doesn't work. Understand my definition of a diet working is you lose your weight and you maintain it off. Because losing weight's easy. Maintaining is hard. Maintenance is the hard part because you have to keep something up and you will not continue to lose weight. You can hit your goal weight, but you won't continue to lose weight. But what do you do after you reach that goal? Maintenance is what you should start with, which means starting with a breakfast routine and then maybe working on your lunch routine. So it's just learning your body, but walking into it naturally. Finding out what works for you. Some people eat twice a day. That works if you're getting your calories. Some people eat 3. You do not need to eat 5. Eating 5 meals a day came from the fitness world. So everything from the fitness world is feeding down to what I'm going to say average people. And in reality, we don't need to do that. I've heard too many trainers say you need to eat 5 times a day. Well, here's why athletes, like true athletes, like the professionals, none of us are athletes unless it is your job. So the athletes, they get up and they have to fuel. So they have to eat because they're going to train. They train for however long and then they have to refuel to replenish what was lost and also pre-fuel for their next one. So they might do, like a basketball player might do drills and then they'll do weightlifting, and then they have other training. So they have to fuel and refuel throughout the day. If you're sitting at a desk, you don't need to fuel and refuel throughout the day. Now, I used to eat like 5 meals a day, but they were small. They were like 250, maybe 300 calories, maybe. And I've just done this since I was 18 years old, so I can gauge whether I need to eat more or not. There were many times when people would ask me how many calories a day I eat. And my schedule is very different because there were days where I would teach 3 fitness classes and have like 2 or 3 training sessions. And then the next day I might teach 1 class. That's a huge difference in caloric need. So I would get up and have something to eat. I would teach my class. I would have like an energy bar or I would have a meal bar in between. And then I might teach another class or do training. And then I would eat shakes because sometimes that was the easiest. But I never relied on shakes. It was just like a quick refuel so I could teach that next class. But I really think we need to bring common sense back to this. Stay away from those medicines. It's the shiny object, and they're all horrible. Back when I took ephedra in the 80s, it was like the wonder weight loss drug back then. And then people started having heart attacks and having heart conditions and all kinds of medical conditions. the hardest part of this that just breaks my heart is we're focusing on the wrong thing. Society says skinny is better and a little overweight is, gosh, you're just horrible. But understand that the determination of being obese is 20 pounds overweight. Over whose weight? Who's determining this? Those weight standards were made in the 60s. A lot of our weight and health conditions can go away and will go away when our food is cleaner, when the soil is reclaimed and healthier, and we get these chemicals out of our foods. The food industry has been horrible, and I've watched it just add crap into the processed food. So I usually don't eat much. I don't eat much processed food. But then again, eating the fruits and vegetables, what are they spraying on that? So it's extremely difficult. But I don't judge anyone who takes the medicines. It just breaks my heart that you're gonna, if you look further down the road in the long term about it, you're gonna gain your weight back, and chances are you're gonna gain more. And then you have to then you go through that struggle, and it's hard to see so many people go through that over and over again. I just pray that we could get back to the slow and steady, because I have two themes. Slow and steady wins the race, because it does. If you do this slow and you do it steady and make small changes where they become your lifestyle, then you're doing maintenance as you're doing this, because you're changing your lifestyle one or two habits at a time. The other one is we don't stop moving because we get old. We get old because we stop moving. We were designed to move. And through the many certifications and training programs, the one I just took one through on neurological response in the brain from aerobic exercise. Before we had cars, before we had any transportation, our ancestors walked 10 to 12 miles a day. Now, I'm not saying go walk 10 to 12 miles a day. If you can get that 30-minute walk in, it doesn't have to be a certain time. It doesn't have to be a certain pace. Just walk for 30 minutes. Best walk is outside if you can with the weather. But as I end this, I just wanted to say, I don't judge anybody for surgery, doing the bariatric surgeries. It breaks my heart that we're destroying what God created, unless it is life-saving. And even in all those surgeries, you have to lose a certain amount of weight before they'll do surgery. There's counseling on eating in that. But I can tell you, most people in 2 to 3 years, they've gained their weight back. Most of it, if not all of it. So it's hard to see that roller coaster. And with medicines don't fix anything. They screw up our body. They mess up our cellular operations. And all of it is to be skinny, not healthy. So the real goal, the true goal, is to live healthier, one habit, one behavior, one step at a time. And be patient with it, because that will sustain you for the rest of your life. That will really sustain you for the rest of your life. And then you'll be making those decisions on making a better choice for food and for activity. I can tell you there's times I've been in the fitness. I've done aerobics since I was 18, and I've taught for 30 years. And there are times when people would say, Kim, I don't love working out like you do. And my response is, I don't always love it. I really do enjoy it. But my enjoyment comes from freedom of movement. After that class, I am just so energetic. Sometimes I'll tell people, I feel like I can carry my car home. I don't have to drive it. I'm just going to carry it. There's such an energy boost. Physically in your body, your heart is pumping, so then your blood is circulating, is delivering oxygen, and it's taking out the garbage. So we need that blood flow to clean our body, to deliver nutrients to tissues, and then to take the garbage and dispose it into our kidneys. So I know this was quite a bit to unpack, but I just would encourage everybody to sit quietly, take 5 minutes and take a breath. What is it that you really want? Do you want the quick fix that can end up in health issues? And people have died from these medicines and from the surgeries. as well as from the diets. A little known fact is there are many people who have ended up in the emergency room because they're doing keto diet, and the results of eating high protein, when your body breaks down protein, it creates ketones, and our kidneys are not very efficient in processing ketones, so they get stuck in the kidneys. So there's people who end up in the emergency room with kidney failure because they have too many ketones in their kidneys. Now, I also know, I had a friend who I was telling them that, and her response was, oh, I have these P strips. Well, that's great that you have P strips. That just tells you the ketones that are coming out. It doesn't tell you how many are stuck in your kidneys. It's so many people close to me have taken medicines and done such drastic things. It hurts my heart that we can't work through emotional things. And that takes a group. That takes people helping you with, and letting you know that, hey, we're not taking the short road. We've got to walk through this. So it's really hard for me to watch so many people. And I just recently have started to speak my voice of saying that you're going to get hurt. It's going to hurt you more than you think. So I just encourage you to take some time and find out, what really do you want in life? Do you want, temporary weight loss? Because that's what it is. It's a temporary weight loss. But permanent weight loss, and actually a lifestyle with freedom of movement, is there for you. We just have to take the steps one at a time and be patient with yourself. God made you here. He brought you here, and we're all here for a purpose, for a reason. And keep yourself healthy for your family, for your friends, for you, so you can walk into your 90s. So that's my wish for everyone, is that we take the steps slowly. Maybe we take them together and we can all walk into our 90s. Have a great day.